I'm sure I've done this with everybody, with all of us here before, but what I wanted to do is a meditation, and after the meditation we spend maybe just like 3 minutes each and explain the meditation. And it's your choice to be on video or not. I can switch the camera around and you can actually talk to the camera. If you don't want to, that's fine. This is something we've never done before. It just came to mind. So if you want to be on video after the meditation and talk about your experience, you can. If you don't want to be on video, you can just talk like we normally do. But the idea behind this, the main purpose behind this, is so that we don't become lazy meditators. In other words, we often, I know I'm speaking from personal experience, that sometimes we'll meditate and we don't have to report to anybody. We don't have to, if we had a teacher that we had to meet with, like some retreats, you meet with a teacher after each meditation or in the evening, and you tell the teacher what your meditations, how they're progressing, what they're about. And particularly when you're doing a jhana retreat, they'll determine whether you're actually close to jhana or in jhana, and what level of jhana you might be in. Jhana are these levels of concentration. And it's very common at a jhana retreat to report to a teacher, and a lot of Zen retreats will do that as well. And so this is the same kind of thing. So we want to be aware of our actual meditation step by step by step, so we don't become lazy and just, like somebody, I think a lot of meditations afterwards, if somebody would say, explain your meditation, we would go, oh, it was relaxing, and then my mind went over here, and then it went over there, and then I was focusing on the breath, and then something, and I can't remember what else happened, and then I heard a sound, and all these different things. And that's neither good nor bad, but if we're coaxed a little bit, and if we have an intention to really pay attention to our meditation step by step, so that we can actually explain it, not minute by minute, but kind of give a caption, to kind of tell people what it was like, enough for us to realize anyway that we paid attention and we were aware of what happened in our meditation. So this is actually our consciousness. Consciousness is aware, is the part of us, the part of the world that is actually is watching this awareness and noticing this awareness. And so it's kind of like awareness watching awareness, but it actually is consciousness checking in. And so we want to be really, really conscious of what is happening in our life. Otherwise, it'll just slip by us, and all of a sudden we'll realize that we weren't really participating as much as we could have. And if meditation is a reflection of our everyday activities and our everyday experiences, then if we can be aware and very conscious of what's happening during our meditation, then that can be a part of our everyday life as well. Capiche? Capiche? Comprendo? Comprendo?
I understand.
They're very good. We have one person that understands.
I said comprendo.
Comprendo.
That's
Yeah.
Spanish.
See? Capiche is Italian, isn't it?
Joe knows capiche.
I think I understood that. It's talking
Have
about
to-
my grandmother. He's somebody.
Capiche.
Understands.
Yes.
I've had quiche before.
Cool. That's nice.
That has nothing to do with, anyway. So I think that was enough of an explanation. And if we start now, it will be, usually we meditate right up till 8 o'clock, Arizona time. So it's about 7:15. And I'll cut it a little bit short before 8, give ourselves a little bit of time to to speak, afterwards. So it'll be about a 40-minute meditation. That's a pretty good meditation for a lot of people on a Wednesday night. Because I know a lot of people have already meditated today. So please make yourself comfortable.
That A. John Brown says people always ask him which direction should they face when they meditate. And he always tells them inside.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah.
Face
He's
inside.
fun to listen to, yeah. He's unconventional.
I've had people do ask that, what
Direction.
Yeah, what direction? And
Inside.
inside, yeah, go within. Yeah, that is exactly it. All great teachers, gurus, saints, they teach people to go within, to go inside. And if they don't, then they're not really doing their job as a teacher, I think. We have to find out what's in here. Learn about it. Meditation, the practice of going within. So please make yourself comfortable. A part of going within is finding a meditation object so that the mind doesn't wander. Whenever I speak of the breath, I'm speaking of a meditation object. And usually people take that literally. Finding that spot on the body where the breath is felt. It could be different for everyone. Placing our attention on the breath is a very simple process, but keeping it there can be a little bit more difficult because of the nature of the mind. The mind likes to wander, just simply because that's what it knows what to do. It always has been doing that. It did it all day long. It did it our entire lives. It can be very entertaining. And sometimes we definitely welcome this because when there's something irritating us and our mind keeps coming back to it again and again and again, it seems like the mind is in control. And so it seems like that's the opposite of the wandering mind, but we can take advantage of that and actually use that as a tool in our meditation practice. If we catch the mind coming back to a situation that happened today or yesterday, or a worry, some kind of restlessness, we can use that as a kind of a trigger, reminding us that there's other places that we can place the mind. It's almost like the opposite. And we can bring our attention back to the breath. So sometimes that can actually be easier than when the mind just floats around and goes wherever it wants to go without a target. And although it can seem liberating, it's not a very inviting quality to have the mind flirting around and moving around without direction. It's like working with somebody that can't stay on task, or ourselves having a job to do or something that we want to take care of, and we just can't do it because we can't focus, we can't get on target. And in our meditation practice, we can clearly see that, and it's from the practice of going within and watching this from that place. So whether it's just a simple task of bringing our attention back to the breath, or actually staying with something that we're working with or something that we're trying to achieve in life, it's the same. Focus and concentration. And the advantage of that happening in meditation is that we're giving the mind something to do so that we can watch the mind closer. We can notice that the mind is very focused, very concentrated, or it might not be. It might be just the opposite, but at least we're giving it an effort. We're trying. And so we're narrowing down that field of what we should be doing as a meditator. We're attempting to keep our focus in one area. And eventually the things and the different activities and environmental things in our world, they seem not to matter so much, so that the mind doesn't get pulled away from the meditation object quite so much, and then it settles in. And we seemingly have an agreement with that meditation object, and we can rest with it and be very present with the breath or whatever the meditation object is. And then insight can arise. But mostly we get a great amount of clarity, understanding ourselves at a deeper level. We're not so concerned about memories. We're not so concerned about fixing the future. And we become more peaceful. We find ourselves to be more complete with what is. Not needing anything to be any different than what it currently is in order for us to be content and darn right happy in many cases. And it all has to do with simply allowing ourselves to focus on the breath, giving ourselves that mini vacation. And so the invitation is to really pay attention to your meditation, so much that you will be able to report it to a teacher if they asked you after the meditation to explain it, explain your meditation within a few moments or a few minutes. What took place, what happened. Was it a good meditation or a bad meditation, which really doesn't matter. The good ones are the bad ones, and the bad ones are the good ones. Any insight that came from the meditation? Was it peaceful? What did you notice? The feelings, the moods or emotions, some of the sensations in the body, some of the environmental situations, sounds, were there visualizations that came up? Was there discomfort in the body, or was it comfortable? Were you able to be present, or was there a lot of distractions from the past and future? So we'll sit in silence, and this can be the hardest part for a lot of people. Really staying with the meditation. And keep reminding yourself that you have to check in, either with yourself or with somebody else, after this meditation. You have to be able to explain the meditation rather than just drifting into it and being a sleepy meditator, or whatever we want, however we want to describe it. We want to be alert, and we want to have energy in our practice. And this is a good opportunity. Bring the palms together in front of your heart if you care to. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us, may no difficulties come to us, and may we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. And may we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. Okay. I'd like to have everybody just kind of think about whether they want to be on, like have the camera on them or not. And if you don't, that's fine. If you do, that's fine. If you don't care one way or the other, I think the people viewing would like to see your face, maybe. I don't know. But so the invitation was to meditate, of course, which we just did. I hope everybody realized that. And to be able to report or, be able to speak of their meditation, what came up. But, let's do this within a reasonable time. Otherwise, what happens is we'll lose viewers, if we talk too long. They'll get sleepy and turn it off, watch TV or something. So, I'll go first since the camera's on me and I might have to move it. But my meditation was, I never really look at whether meditation is good or bad. Mainly, how much, if there's energy in the meditation, it works out pretty well for me. If I'm drowsy and sleepy, I almost feel like maybe I shouldn't be meditating. Maybe I should be napping or sleeping. But I did have energy, like I always do when I'm here, anyway. And so I guess I could say that it was a good meditation. The few distractions I had, my stomach was growling. I don't know if you heard that. And yesterday I didn't eat anything. I was fasting. And tonight, before we got here, Terry made a beautiful stir fry. It was really great. And so I probably ate too much, and it was rewarding me. It was telling me that I did a good job eating, actually. So it wasn't hunger pains or anything like that. But the reason it distracted me, if I was by myself, it wouldn't distract me at all. But I was concerned that it might distract the other people here we'll just leave it at that. And then what I assume was a little dog, sounded like a little dog out there barking, distracted me a little bit, because we don't usually have dog sounds here. It's usually pretty quiet. Usually no animal sounds or dogs or even crickets or anything like that. So I found that interesting. And then I remembered some other instances about some other memories tied in with that dog, and things like that. So I had to catch that, about animals in general, and come back to the breath. And then a few distractions, a couple of airplanes I heard. But as far as the meditation itself, when I wasn't distracted, it was a large part of the time that I wasn't, I can happily say. And during that, I was not necessarily on the breath all the time, but there was a part of me that realized that the breath was the element and the thing that I was using to be present. So in that presence, I could still think about the past and the future a little bit, but still be in that presence. So and that's to me whether I'm having a good meditation, to be in the present moment, and still notice that I'm thinking about something in the future, but knowing that I'm still present and thinking about it. So I'm still here and I'm still very much in the present moment, knowing that it's like purposely thinking about something in the future. So you don't get into trouble. It doesn't go too far. It's not like a daydream. And same thing with the past. Some things that happened in the past that think about. And for the most part, I could do that from this place of the present moment. So it was a good meditation, from that standpoint. And again, if I was drowsy and just kind of nodding off like that, I wouldn't have been able to do any of that. The dog wouldn't have distracted me much. It'd just be like a blah blah, and I wouldn't have been present. I would probably my mind would be in fantasy someplace probably. And so I didn't go into any deep states of concentration or anything like that. Just remained present as much as I could. And when I noticed that my mind was distracted, I focused on the breath and I became present right away. Who's next?
Can go.
You want to be on camera?
If you
Do
want
want?
me to, sure.
Okay. Also, I'm going to give you this too. So there's going to be some static on the other end for the people listening while this is moving around. I apologize. Just clip that on
Hold it
something. Yeah,
Hold it.
just clip it on something if you would. I'll be the cameraman.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So first, I'd just like to say that it's a wonderful invitation, and I almost feel like I should do that every time I meditate, is to know that I have that accountability to explain it, because that definitely kept me on the straight and narrow a lot more than I tend to be, especially in the evening when I'm a little more tired and I'm subject to drifting a little bit. So I definitely stayed on the breath quite a lot. I didn't use anything else. Sometimes I'll use mantras or counting. I didn't do any of that. I stayed in the breath, had mostly good energy, only drifted off into daydream fantasy once or twice for a few moments. Had the biggest distraction for me tonight was some body aches, because I've gone back to the gym and I went this morning and I realized how much that makes my lower back and my neck hurt, and so that was actually difficult. I was trying to breathe light into those areas and breathe healing, and I really couldn't make it stop. So that kind of kept me from drifting off too. And it's just always very, very interesting to be aware of the mind. I always think of it like a little squirrel just darting. It just darts. It's like in 1 minute I'm thinking about something that might have made me a tiny bit angry, and then the next minute I'm drifting off into some little ego space, which is the most fun, when I catch myself thinking something a little bit like grandiose, and admit it, we all do that here and there, right? And that's always funny, but it's just like a little squirrel just darting here and there and here and there, and when you catch it, it's actually quite amusing. Mm-hmm. So it was, all in all, I would say it was a good meditation. I had good energy. I wasn't sleepy, and I stayed on the breath, and if not for the body aches, it probably would have been like a perfect meditation. But
Great. We can't always say that we almost had the perfect meditation.
yeah, it was close.
The almost levitating kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. I think we're still got our viewers. Something happened with it. Yeah, go ahead, Mark, please.
It went pretty well. I mean, I started off drifting quite a bit, and then I did my counting exercise from 1 to 10, and then back to 1, and then up to 9, and then
Counting the breath. Are you using the breath?
yeah, the breath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people would be interested in So you're going up to 10, back down to 1, up to 9,
Yep.
back down to 1, and then, okay,
Yeah.
then back to 8, and
Yeah.
7.
I did that until I finished that, and then I tried to not think about anything for a few minutes, which worked, and then I drifted off a little bit more, and then kind of focused in on breathing in cool air, breathing out hot air. Did that for a while. Then I heard the dog. Then I started thinking about, oh, remember that dog we used to have at the other place?
I knew you were doing that.
Yeah.
I swear, I knew you were thinking
I was like,
that.
I haven't heard a dog barking for like a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
Other than that, I had a little. I'm not totally comfortable, so I was trying to get comfortable a lot, but.
I didn't really notice you moving around much or anything.
Yeah, I found like a spot at home where I'm just like, I could sit there for 40 minutes and not move at all, but I haven't quite figured it out yet with the pillows and stuff here. But other than that, it went pretty well. I wasn't like off in thought the whole time.
Yeah. You had energy,
Yeah.
obviously. You weren't
Yeah.
tired and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't usually meditate when I'm tired, but I didn't feel tired at all. It just
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Like if
Yeah.
I come here, I've never really come here tired that I can remember, but if I do, usually when I get tired, it's at night. You know, we decide, hey, let's meditate before we go to bed, kind of. Or not even before we go to bed, but close to that time, and then we realize that I'm pretty tired. I think we should go to bed, like 8 o'clock or something.
Not quite that bad, but.
Yeah. It's like if you don't know whether you're tired or not, just meditate for a while, and you'll figure it out pretty fast.
Yeah. Usually if I feel I'm tired, I don't meditate because I know it's not going to be a good meditation.
Yeah.
So,
It's less editing.
yeah. So, when you started and you said, where you at in jhana, my brain went, oh my God, jhana, concentration meditation. Let me see, where was I last once I did that with this is the narrative that was going on in my head. Access concentration, came to mind, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I'm there, but I'm like, I usually do like, kind of like what I always do, which is, I just kind of settle into the breath and observe the thoughts. And of course, going back to the breath, always. And my point of focus for the breath is that it's through my nostrils, and I practice it that way, observing the breath as it goes, moment by moment through the nostrils, and then the breath stops, and then it goes back forward. So as my brain was doing all this, I noticed about, I don't know, 5 minutes into it, maybe 10, that I wasn't allowing the breath to just naturally breathe. So I was actually overriding that and going into manual. Breath goes in, I'll make some, breath goes out. And I'm like, whoa, what am I doing here? So I backed that up. And I said, oh, there's an avatar. I was like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. And, but I'm not that visual of a person, so I kind of get really pretty kinesthetic with the meditation. I just kind of just have a level of curiosity sometimes when I can about the thoughts as they arise and fall away. And then of course, I did hear the little doggy, and I heard the airplane, and then I kind of floated away, and I couldn't really bring myself back, and I was trying to do a reset up practice where, you know, I was, you know, going from the top of my head, and then, then of course I went into some more, you know, like these conversations that were going on, and some of them were made up, and some of them were actual. But I was like, wow, I'm nowhere near the breath now. And then there was this noise. It was like boom or something. I don't know what it was, but I'd heard it, and that kind of just rattled me out.
Yeah, something from up there I heard.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Right, and so I did. I opened my eyes because it kind of startled me, and I thought something had fell, and then I just went back to the breath again, and you know, tried to get through the meditation. Well, so you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 4 meditation. I kind of got lost into thought, and couldn't remember, you know, the specifics. I don't have a good recall for like the specifics of like what level of jhana are you at or this. I just do it, and you know, wherever I go. But it's basically a breath meditation where I try to just stay present in the moment and not try to think too much about the future, nor try to go into the past, and that's been keeping me real busy.
Sharing that. I think Terry hit it on the head when you said that that you wished. I think your words were something like that you wish you could remember to, you know, have this kind of awareness every time we meditate, and that's the whole idea behind doing this, you know. And I think whenever we want to have a good meditation, you know, that something, not necessarily, you know, I don't really want to use the words good meditation or bad meditation, because I really do feel like the bad meditations are good, and the good meditations can be not so rewarding because they're just easy. You know, it's like we need a little bit of suffering in our lives to feel complete in our life to a certain degree, and we need a little bit of distraction and a little bit of something to work with in our meditation to, you know, really, you know, get someplace in our meditation. It's like that old Tibetan story of, I can't remember right offhand what teacher it was, but he used to travel from town to town, and he had like a caravan of these little ox carts, and these ox, and one of the biggest cart was the for the cook. And he had all these pots and pans hanging on this cart that the ox would pull, you know, through. If you can, I don't know the last time you were in Tibet, but if you can picture these ox pulling these carts down these little snowy paths, and everything's bumpy, and they're up in the mountains, you know, and freezing and stuff like that. But this cook would always have these pots and pans clanging, and whenever they'd stop and camp, you know, for the night, the cook would make all this noise, and nobody else was making any noise. They were trying to meditate and everything. It was always the cook making the noise, pots and pans hitting together, and he was kind of an obnoxious kind of fellow on top of it, you know, always talking to himself and never allowing any peacefulness to be within him, you know. And whenever he was near somebody else, there was no peace around them either. And so they asked the teacher, I think it might have been Naropa, if I remember right. This is a true story. They asked him, why do you have this cook around? He doesn't, you know, all he does is cause chaos. He's always noisy. If we try to meditate, it's impossible when he's around. And Naropa, if that was Naropa, he said that, he said we all need something to work with. You know, he said if it wasn't, if I didn't have him around, I wouldn't have these, the distractions that I need, you know, to remind myself that it's not a peaceful, perfect world all the time. So he really looked at him as, he said, this is one of my teachers. That noisy cook is one of his teachers. So, and it's like that in our meditation. If we have always consistently good meditations, It sounds like it might be ideal, but probably not, because we wouldn't have that yin and yang. You know, we wouldn't have that pleasantness and unpleasantness to work with. We need that unpleasantness to learn our lessons, to get those lessons. And so, just like the noisy cooks, you know, in the story.